place, and it just follows pretty much the property line all the way down and around the hill and across the back where it crosses the river, and then goes on up north towards actually my grandfather Maxwell's place where he lived. This is the lane that went on down to our place. Sometimes it would have tobacco. And a lot of times it had hogs here. I forgot about that, Jeannie.
That's all right.
I expect about 1940 or 50, somewhere along there. Right around that point. Yeah.
We've had tobacco field right here, off and on. This is the tobacco barn that was built by my daddy, Earl Maxwell, and Uncle Joel. I think Uncle Washington, Uncle Doc, ain't had to make come down. It was just like the old-timey barn raising, where the family got together and we had lots of food and lots of hard work to do. And this is where we cure our tobacco, and you can see the tobacco right there, hanging in the barn. It's not cured out yet. It's not ready to be stripped. Takes it a while to cure out. Here's another view of the tobacco barn. We're closer to it right now. And there was times that there would be hogs in this field that you're looking at. Even though right now it's covered with brush, Daddy would have it fenced off. And there'd be hogs that'd be running around. And we'd have the tobacco patch right out in here. The old barn, this was located on the farm when it was bought. Daddy kept it, Daddy being Earl Maxwell, he kept it fixed and repaired and never was really painted, but kept a roof on it. It was our cattle barn up in the hayloft. You see the door right there at the top. We'd put the hay in through that door, stack it up in the hayloft so we'd have feed for the cattle in the wintertime. Today you can see big round rows of hay. Back in the early days we didn't have round rows, we had little small square rows. Then you can see pasture land. It's had cattle, corn, tobacco crops on it.
I was trying to ride the calf and Mama didn't like it and the calf threw me and I wound up underneath Mama. And finally I was able to squirm out of that. Dealt with that and that was an experience for me. But the road would split here. It would either go up this or it would run right out straight across here right to the river, and the river is right down there where let's walk up here to
This is the old home place where I myself was born, Brenda and Glenn. My daddy Earl, he bought this farm from Mary, his first wife, from her grandparents.
You can do this and it don't crumble. That's almost too dry right now.
You can hear it rattle.
walk up there and feel that, children.
Because
See what it feels
it's
like.
just kind of like a wet rag when it's time for it to be in order.
Come on
And
up here.
that now sells for more than $1 a pound, probably $2 a pound.
This
That was our living. From one year to the next.
this was their bread and butter for the whole year. Okay?
That's why they're about to turn tobacco into a legalized drug. And when they do, it'll be illegal to grow it. And so you're seeing a lot of stuff on television and news right now. People in eastern Kentucky and
There,
This is my
Christy.
tobacco leaf.
And what
I
you
got it laying on the floor.
what you gonna do with it?
Take it home and mount it. Put it up on my wall.
Okay. Here's a side view of the house. I'm standing up at the tobacco barn. looking out toward the house. You can see the side view that's showing the front porch, the upstairs windows. And you can see the very end sticking out there, and that was the boys' bedroom. Here's everybody going up toward the house.
Sides of the door, that's the very door you looked at on the video.
And you see that door up there? Over here?
Up above?
That, and I used to dry apples on top of that metal roof.
All right, let's go up there and see the
They-
full
they
example.
want a roof.
This is the front porch. That was screened in later, after it was an open porch in the beginning. Up here at the front of the house, looking back down the old barn, looks pretty good. Scanning over to where the tobacco barn is. So as you can see, the house stands up on a small hill, and you look down for the surrounding area. At the old house, and we have some deer hunters here, and they've had some pretty good luck.
Tell them that's Daddy and Grandpa and grandson there.
Oh my, we got a generation here of deers.
Yeah, I've cut a lot of firewood for that part.
Turn his head up over there, let her take a picture of it.
Turn that head up over
We'll
there,
take her a picture of it, she can see it, good racks on his ear.
Look at those racks.
Good look.
Good looking deer. Good
I'd like
looking.
to have a bite of one of them, wouldn't you?
No, Grandpa.
She don't like deer, does she? She don't like to eat deer? She wouldn't know the difference the way they would.
Here I am at the east side of the house. Here's the back porch. There's the back porch. We came in and out this side most of the time. Then you see the fireplace, the chimney, the other upstairs. See, there were two upstairs to this house.
He was coming out quite a bit, kept on going water and everything, when it got slowed up.
I'm gonna be 62 and that roof's been on there longer than I am.
At the very back of the house. And this room that you're looking at with the one window was the boys' bedroom. And over to what would be your right-hand side was a storage room. We used it as a bathroom. We didn't have running water, but this is where we came to take our baths in the summertime. And we kept canned goods and clothes. Now I'm on the west side of the house, in the back, looking at the other back porch. This is where we had the washing machine. We did the washing here all the time. And then the other little room to the left there was another storage room. And when Daddy would have a litter of pigs, and there would be a runt pig that maybe the little pig wasn't going to get enough to eat, I would get that pig, me being Brenda, and I'd raise it on a bottle. And I'd keep it a lot of time in this room out here on the back of the porch. Then we're scanning where you can see the tobacco barn. You see the hill. Right up in there used to be a pond. That was for the hogs to have a place to wallow and drink out of, cool off. Right in here, behind the house, was always a garden spot with lots and lots of stuff planted. Corn, green beans, lima beans, tomatoes, potatoes, anything you might want to imagine. And we canned a lot of the vegetables, and of course ate them when they were in season. Right up here where you see this grove of cedar trees, this has a story behind it. My daddy, Earl, he dug a pond here. He also kept hogs back in here. And he dug this pond. And in years' time, it got a lot of mud and stuff that sifted into the water and got into the bottom, and it just needed to be cleaned out. And he cleaned it out with the old fuzzy Ferguson tractor with the grater blade. And this is where Mom and myself got to see the tractor stand up on its back end because Daddy had went up the bank and the tractor couldn't stay on the ground. And it reared up on its back, and we just thought it was going to turn over. But it didn't. But it did scare Daddy a little bit. Now I'm scanning the river bottom, and the tree lines will designate to you where the Gasper River runs down through the farmland. Daddy farmed all of this, raising corn, lots of corn. In the beginning that I can remember, we picked it by hand. Then he got a corn picker. I was about 10, 11 years old. And I'm scanning a lot of the woods. These woods this summer were timbered out. Here you see the group talking.
Get on up, around a little bit up there. It's bad. You get across the edge, you know, get on that side.
We had lots of good days through these woods.
We got a high-powered rifle. He said I wouldn't stay around here too long because those things will shoot for miles and people are getting killed with them. Some of these people come there and hunt and shoot at anything moves. They don't know what it's people or what. They see something moving.
So it's best if we're going to be.
We need to do what we gotta do. What we're gonna do here.
I'm scanning back through the river bottom, and you can see all the way back through, and then the very back in there, past those trees, is where Mac and Corrine Appling lived. They were our closest neighbors when we lived down here at the river. Scanning to the north of the fields, the hills make a boundary, but that's not the land boundary. But all this was cultivatable. A lot of it was always used as pasture ground. The land boundary goes way up into the trees. After Daddy bought the north 30 acreage, we went all the way from down here to the river bottom up to the highway at Bucksville.
Brought me down here, and there was a fence right there. We set some cans at the bottom up there, and we stood over there, and he showed me how to shoot with a pistol. Shoot, he dropped it. He was 80-something then.
Here and crossed right there at a big elm tree, and there was a gate here that you went through. And first time I remember seeing any oats planted, Dad had this little field or patch here planted in oats. Then there's a road that went right across through here, and you can go down the other side of that branch and go down the other side of the river and come out over at the Maxwell Bridge. And you can go down this way and come out there too.
Okay, we're almost down to the river. And I just wanted to scan the hillside. This one facing north. You see the rise in the ground, and a lot of that is rock. And this summer, a lot of the timbers was timbered out. Looks pretty scarce right now with no leaves on. This is the first car wash. That's what Becky Lou just said. Bill was telling about bringing the cars and the truck down here. And I brought Maud.
That cable right there is that's the remains of what's left of an old swinging bridge that we used to walk across the river on. You'll sink in there now. That's the coldest river there ever was, because that thing squirts out of the ground a few miles north, west of here, up there by Auburn.
Tractor around the tree, Mom.
Oh, a tractor around the tree. I was looking for something crossing the river still.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for from there. So you could actually drive across that?
Oh,
Looks
yeah.
like it's
Yeah, you can drive across it. It's four-wheel drive, you go across it now.
No, I help
I
you
want
wait.
to get across this truck. That's up a little bit there. It's probably about that deep right now. But that thing gets down where it's only about like that.
And right down there, Dad, isn't that where it's deep, where you can swim?
Yeah, around the corner.
Okay.
The river makes a curve right here. It goes on down straight and past the curve was our old swimming hole where we'd always go swimming in the summertime. There's where we would come out on the other side of the branch when we cross over. And there's where we come out. Standing back from the river, and you can see the drive that goes down into it where you would cross over and come out there on the other side. What I'm looking at right now is an old oak tree, and this is a big tree. And a lot of times when Bobby didn't want to be called to work, or if he thought maybe he couldn't be found, he would come and hide on the back side of this tree. Now it's not a branch anymore, but it used to be a branch that ran down through here, and it went on into the river, down into the woods. Here's the old barn. You can see the door where the cows came in from the side. There's always apple trees back down
Dad was
here.
working on the car, and I wasn't very old when Bob was
Used to be an outhouse that sat right there on the hill. You see that front tree.
Bob used to walk around all the time with a big cook.
You're looking at one of the wells where we got the water. And this was the well that we normally got the wash water out of. And Billy was talking about, Daddy talking about having running water. Well, that's right, just like Bill said, we run down here and get it, run it back up there to the house. To the barn.
Now, come here, I want Grandpa to tell another story. Come here. Come out here, and Dad and Uncle Bob would play tag, and they'd leave the house after dinner just to get. And here they are running across here toward the barn. And they go in the barn, and they go up the ladder, and what?
All over the loft, jump down the holes where you put the hay for the stock.
Right here.
Jump out the front. I jumped out the back more than I did the front. All this was cow manure and mud at both ends of it, where horses and cows walking in and out. And you hit the ground so hard, your head would go down and hit the ground too, because you couldn't help it. You fell out of there and you hit the ground, you get pretty low before you straighten up. Probably that mud and junk out there is what saved our neck. I jumped out the back because it looked a little bit closer to the ground in front. I fell out of this one time and I butted the ground and my head went down between my legs and I had stuff all on my face.
Oh, your granddaddy was 3 years old, so he was going to see something about this cold. And
Yeah,
that
it's right
cold,
here, that gate there.
that cold kicked him, turn around, Bill, kicked him right there. And that's why I guess it's part of saying as much trouble as another today. That happened before I got into the family, but I know about it.
Yeah, Dad said pick up a corn stalk and hit that little old mule in the roof. Make him come on out here to help her.
Here's the Becky.
Well, that's the one laying there. I
60
picked one
years
up,
old
washed
this
him, and
year,
pulled his back teeth and
1996.
blew up in there. And I remember that too.
You forgot it though, didn't
Turned
you?
me for a somersault. And so they took now they took me to the doctor for that. 'Cause
Bill
I
is
had
62.
a lot of hemorrhaging in my face and head.
Be 63 in December. 62 in December.
Oh,
Grandpa,
Lord, I know when he built it, he owned this place for quite a while. And Dad bought a brand new wagon when him and my mother bought the place or come here to live. And it was a red wagon and had steel tires on it, steel rims on it. And that wagon stayed here until they left the farm. That thing was always in good shape. It stayed right there until that gangway of the barn.
And Grandpa came here, your dad came here after he worked a while in Detroit.
Yeah, New Jersey, and then he went to Detroit.
He was in Detroit 4 years, Darrell.
He was in Detroit for 4 years.
Worked in
He came home
a car shop.
in 1930. He and Grandma Mary got married. They lived the rest of that year, and the next year down with Bob Maxwell and Granny Mouse. Then they come up here and rented for 10 years, 9 years. And then they bought the farm. They just bought it.
and about 160 acres.
Yeah, 1,800, and he said they was afraid he wouldn't get it paid for, and it only took 2 or 3 years or what to pay for it.
Well, he paid for it less time than the contractor wrote up for it. Got three years after we married, it was paid for.
The reason this metal's around here, the bottom of these boards is rotted off. Well, everything there's still original, just like it was 50 years ago.
Okay, any questions?
The gravel road that goes down to the old house. To show you too that there is a natural spring. It's a branch, a creek, that runs down just parallel with the road over lots of limestone rock. A lot of days coming home from school, we might just happen to walk into this branch rather than stand in the road. This is the Sandy Gap Schoolhouse. This is where Bill Maxwell went to school. It's not a school now. It's probably a storage house for someone, for cattle or for hogs. There's another view of it.
That's where he kept the wood in to burn in the stove.
And here's the other view of it. Probably about 20, 30 children went here when they was going to school. This road that we're looking at, it's the road that goes all the way through to the McAplin place, which is the farm behind the homestead place that Bill and Bobby and Glenn and myself was raised on. And this goes all the way through. And Bill and the Applin kids, they would walk this road in order to get over here to the school. A pretty good walk.